was 21. If you believe what he wrote down on the paper that the sergeant made him sign. Never held a gun, he'd never been too far from home. Never had a night like this in mind. Moved him to the front and left him with one order: don't give up the hole we made you dig. Took a picture out, and then he read some letters, closed his eyes, said, "The Lord my shepherd is." Peace comes still and slow, falls like silent snow, swings down sweet and low. Peace comes still and slow. She was on the street and looking for some shelter, beaten down and weary of this world, shivering from the cold, crazy from the voices. She dreams of summers when she was a girl. We live in a world of trials and tribulations, people filled with hatred everywhere. So we bow our heads and we raise our voices, offer our petition in this prayer. Peace come still and slow, falls like silence.
Hey everybody, welcome to Vespers. We're so glad that you have joined us this evening, a chance for us to be together and to be reminded that we're not alone. So we light this candle tonight, celebrating the presence of Christ in us, among us, and beyond us. You may hear that I have a friend with me. Hang on just a second. We'll see if he'll come out. This is Ace. He's a kitten. You may recognize kittens, and he's just the newest part of our family, and we thought we'd let him say hey. He is so cute, as you can see, and he's also wily and a little bit nuts, but we love him, and he reminds us, or at least has been reminding me, that Melissa said this could go very good or very poorly, and I think she was right. I think what he reminds me is, as whether he's climbing up my shirt or napping on Melissa's head, that it's good to be fearless, and it's good to try new things, and it's good to see things with new eyes. And you're going to have to go back in here so we can finish this, okay? He's probably going to talk to us. They say things about working with kids and animals, don't they? Yeah, anyway. So, what I love about Ace is that while he may not be the best live streaming partner, he's reminds us the importance of being excited and seeing things with new eyes. Reminds me how important it is to look at things differently than I look at them before. And that our differences are really good. And rather than being threatened by seeing differences with one another, we can accept each other. And not only that, accept ourselves too. Well, tonight we have the opportunity, and I think Ace is excited about seeing this, to talk with Dara Felts. Charles is going to talk with Dara. Dara is a deacon at Central. She also teaches ESL at Lafayette High School. Not only that, but she's been helping with our children for years now. And during the pandemic, she's helped create a virtual gathering so that our children can connect and continue to learn and to grow together. So we're excited to hear more from Dara and from Charles now. So let's go talk with them. You ready, Ace? He's ready. Let's do this.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in for Vespers this evening. With us today, we have a guest, Dara Felts. Dara is a deacon of our church, as well as a member of our missions committee, and does a lot of great things with our environmental and ecological mission of our church, as well as today, she's going to talk about her volunteering with the children and this Zoom meeting that has been going on for several months on Sunday mornings with the children. So hello, Dara, and welcome.
Hello.
So Dara, why don't you start? Yeah, good to have you, of course, and good to see your face. Why don't you start by telling us, what are you doing on Sunday mornings? What does that look like?
All right. So about 10:30, I open up the Zoom link, and sometimes there's kids already there waiting. And so I just interact with them and ask them how they're doing and saying hello. And usually there's, siblings. So I try to get a sense of who all is there in front of the camera. And we sometimes just talk for a little bit. I try to play it by ear sometimes and see what it is the kids are interested in and what they want to talk about. And when we first started Zooming together, they really wanted to share things. They wanted to show me things from around their house. And they still want to do that. They still bring their favorite stuffed animals to show me, or show me what they're wearing, if they're wearing a Frozen dress that's really special to them. So that's been really, really fun. And then we talk a little bit about God, and we talk about who they want to pray for, what's on their mind. And we usually pray together. And then I let them go so that they can join their families with the worship service in the morning for all of our community.
That's great. Yeah, I know that it seems like a short time, 30 minutes, and it can go by pretty quick, but it's important for kids to get back with their families for our corporate worship service on live stream. So what are some of the things that you all been talking about as terms of scripture or God or church or just being in community of faith?
Absolutely. And the time really does go fast. I'm getting better. I know that at first I was keeping kids a little bit longer because we just had so much to talk about. But I have reminders on my phone now that it's time to let the kids go and don't ask any more questions. That's a great question, Charles. So thankfully we have Laura Levins, who has great connections in our community. And so she's been able to help us with materials to work with the kids. So we started around Lent, and a group of us from the children's ministry got together and created Lent bags. So just each bag had Advent. And so we had the Advent candles, we had some snacks, we had some pictures and things for the kids to color. We included a calendar so that kids could keep track of the days, which was in this cool circular motion. right, to get to the day of celebration of Jesus's birth. We also had, for each week of Advent, we talked about what the candles represented. There was scripture that we read each week. There was a prayer. There were activities and art things for us to think about and talk about. And then if families wanted to, they could continue the conversations throughout the week with their kids.
That's great.
We've talked and referred back to God's time and discussing that, what season we're in, what that means for us as Christians, where we are in Jesus's journey. And so it's, I think, been good for the kids to learn that we're following this calendar in our spiritual development.
That's great. Yeah. And I know you have something, a nice little setup there for what we did at Easter with the children. Do you want to show us that and walk through that?
Absolutely. So Illustrated Ministry has these amazing lessons for kids. And so all of the kids received this material, so the kids were able to cut out and color this beautiful background. You can see that we were able on Easter morning to really play, through the story. So as I was telling the story, the kids were able to manipulate and move around their Marys, their shepherds with the sheep, with Jesus, with the angel coming down to let the Marys know what had happened. And we even have some serious faces on this side, and then the kids could turn around and see how the people who received the good news reacted. So you have them on the other side smiling and just really happy to hear the good news. And
that's great.
Yeah, we got to see the stone, right, being rolled away. How Jesus was not there, in the tomb. So that was really fun to do, and the kids could color, and they even continued. If they didn't color it that morning, they showed me in the next couple weeks where they had colored and created their story set.
Great. Yeah, I bet it's probably challenging to do Zoom Sunday school with children and not have those things in front of you and in front of them. But this sounded like a good opportunity for them to create something at home and have that in front of them that they could play with as you're playing with yours, right?
Yes. And I think that's really important for kids. And I think we really foster that in our church community. When we're in person, the children have worship binders. And so we don't frown upon kids creating things as they're listening. It's okay for kids to be there and to listen and to be active with their minds and their hands. There's been Sunday mornings when you hear like the marker that's been dropped rolling down underneath the pews. So I love that about our church, that kids aren't expected to be quiet, and the Zooms are never quiet. Well, maybe but kids are listening, kids are talking, kids are sharing they ask the best questions. I've just been amazed at the questions they have asked and the things that they've wanted to talk about. But back to keeping their hands busy, that was something one of Laura's friends that I spoke with on the phone, she shared that they really also have something for children to do with their hands while they're listening. So part of the illustrated ministry, kids each week often get just a page to color, and they always want to share with me their artwork, and it's fun to see how they color, what they don't color, what they do color. So it just gives them something to do while they're listening. I know that my son, is an artist at heart. And so I learned very quickly that when he was drawing, he was also listening, and it was very active. So I'm very comfortable with kids being very active while they're participating.
Yeah.
And then the big thing during the during the Lent season, most of what we talked about leading up to there, where you saw the scripture here, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So a lot of our lessons really focused on invisible treasures, sort of the differences. We talked about what their treasures were and then what their invisible treasures were. And I'm telling you, our children love their families.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah.
They just love their families. And it was really cool to see how they already knew this. They already understood deep inside, like, what their real treasures were. We just brought it out and talked about it a little bit more and added some Bible stories. And it's just really cool to see for myself just how their spiritual development is already happening. It's happening in homes. It's happening with the people they spend time with. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So
it's been a blessing.
What have been some stories or some ways that you've seen that this has been a rewarding time for children on Sunday mornings?
One is just an opportunity for them to be their own community. Like, we talk a lot about the church community and how important that is to us as adults. It's just as important to the kids. It's fun to see them chatting with each other during the Zoom. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes I have no idea what they're chatting about. So sometimes it's silly. Sometimes technology isn't working great. And so kids are chatting their responses or their answers or whatever it is they want to share. I have Evelyn teaching me how to do things on the computer. Like, I mentioned that I didn't know how to connect my ear pods to the Chromebook, and she's sharing her screen and showing me exactly what I needed to do to connect my AirPods to the Chromebook. So they're just amazing young people already. And I might have been veering off topic. Oh, so yes, they chat with each other and they like to see each other. They like to say hi to one another and show things to one another. It's not about necessarily showing me. It's showing all of us together. So I'm really glad that they're having an opportunity to do that while we've been not able to gather together in the church building. So they have a really strong community. And the younger kids are interacting with the older kids, and the siblings are climbing all over each other and edging each other out of the screen so they can get in front of the screen. And it's just real.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's big. I think also, again, I mentioned really good questions. We one of our stories that we talked about was the young man who was very unhappy with his life. And so he went to Jesus and he's like, okay, what do I need to do now? What do I need for this everlasting life? And Jesus was like, well, you've got to sell your worldly treasures, and follow me. And so the kids wanted to know, well, what did he decide? And what if he didn't choose that? What would his life be like? One of the kids asked me that. So, it just showed me how deep they're thinking. We just can't take, just because they're little ones. That's why Jesus, was so drawn and so respected the kids, because he knew that they were good thinkers already.
Yeah. I think you're right. And one of the things that you said that really sticks out to me is, as an adult, what we like to foster here at Central is questions and inquiry and wonder, right? And what you said that you've seen on Sunday mornings is exactly that environment for our children, and they're thriving in that type of environment. So, well, I thank you, Dara, for all that you've done over the years, but especially in this pandemic time and the last several months with the children on Sunday morning. I know for my kids and the families that I've talked to, it's been really good for them just to see faces again that aren't their parents and aren't their schoolmates. So I thank you for all that you've done. And for those who are listening, there are going to be opportunities for you to be involved as we re-enter into our church. So conversations and more Vespers and more Zoom meetings that you can be a part of to find out ways that you can be involved, like Dara and our other teachers, as we come back to church. So thank you, Dara.
Thank you, Charles. It's been a blessing working for the kids. And
Thank you so much, Dara. It's so wonderful to get to hear from you and to get to hear about your ministry at Central with our children. We are just so grateful for your love and your kindness, for your generosity and the care that you're showing for our kids. So thank you so much for that. And for your hard work, especially during this difficult and trying time in the pandemic. We're grateful that you're helping our kids to continue to be community together. Let's sing a song before we go. How about He's Got the Whole World? He's got the whole world in His hands. 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 He's got you and me, sister, in His hands. He's got you and me, brother, in His hands. He's got you and me, sister, in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got everybody here in His hands. He's got everybody there in His hands. He's got everybody here in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. Well, we're so grateful that you have been with us this evening, a chance again for us to be together and to be reminded that we are not alone. And thanks again to Dara for all your hard work with our children. Very important members of our church family, our family of faith. There's other ways that you can be involved. Join us again on Sunday for worship, so that we, this Sunday, are going to welcome Reverend Carol Devine, who will be preaching as we celebrate Creation Care Sunday. So we invite you back for that right here on our YouTube channel. Also, our reopening committee, as they continue to try to look for the best routes forward in this strange and ever-changing time, we have released a questionnaire that we would love to have your input on. So if you haven't had the chance to fill out the questionnaire, you can find out about that on our website. There's a blog there that Mark wrote that will help you know a little bit more about that. It's also, there's a link to that in our newsletter. So please take time. It shouldn't take too long to just fill that out, because we'd really love to have your input as we continue to move forward. And the reopening committee will be looking at all this information that we collect so that we can know how the church is feeling about things. So thank you so much for doing that, and thank you for being here this evening. We'll see you again on Sunday. Go in peace.